Well, hello everyone. I'm Thomas Thomas Wooden Railway, and as you can see, this video is something a little bit different that you're not used to seeing on my channel. Over the past year or so, I've accumulated a decent amount of the new Trackmaster stuff, and I decided that this video will serve not only as a layout video, but also as a collection video. And so, without further ado, I'm going to take you around this layout and show you what it has to offer. So I've actually turned off all of the engines for the time being. If you guys couldn't hear, some of the engines are able to speak, and with all of the motors running and some of the engines talking, it was really loud down here actually. So for the time being, I'm just going to stop the engine so that we have time to take a look and see what this layout is all about, and then at the very end of the video I'll turn all of the engines back on again so that we can witness what a true Trackmaster Island of Sodor is supposed to look like. So in that intro piece I had about 14 engines running at the same time, which is not an easy task to accomplish, excuse me. These engines like to jump the track. If you go back and watch that intro part, right as Thomas is about to begin his ascent on whatever this is, Toby over here in the corner actually falls off the track. So it's pretty common, and of course you have to have somebody manually come in and put them back on the track. As a wooden railway collector, I'm not used to that happening. In fact, I'm quite fascinated with the fact that all these engines are able to move on their own, and I can, for one, sit back and kind of enjoy what's going on. So in this layout video, I'm going to go around and show you guys kind of all the areas of this Trackmaster layout. If you guys don't know my channel, I primarily collect the wooden railway merchandise line, and I really like it, and that's why I stuck with it for so many years. But over the past year, I've just started picking up some Trackmaster stuff that I saw on sale, and it's grown into this. So we're just going to go step by step through this layout. We're actually going to start here in this gigantic, almost centerpiece of this layout. This is the bridge jump set from the new Thomas and Friends movie, The Great Race. So this is kind of the big set that Mattel is pushing right now. It's from, I guess, the first climax of the movie where Thomas has to get to the railway show, but the Vickerstown Bridge is up, and so he kind of does this weird, cool jump across the Vickerstown Bridge and somehow lands on the tracks over there. So that part of the movie was kind of met with a mixed reception. Some people liked it. I personally didn't like it, but then again, the movies aren't really aimed at me. So this Trackmaster set is really supposed to be your opportunity to jump the bridge with Thomas. So the main part of this set here is actually pretty much what comes in the box. I've added a few extra accessories, so to speak. For example, that yellow, I don't know what you would call that. It's kind of like a guardrail, but that yellow guardrail actually came in something else, but it's very useful in this set because when Thomas comes flying over the water and into like this funnel thing, he sometimes doesn't land properly and can go flying off the track. So I've added that. I've also added that other yellow guardrail right there. I think I added this green bridge, but for the most part, what you see in this set is actually the set itself. What I like to do with the wooden railway sets is actually break the pieces up and kind of contribute them to my larger Thomas Wooden Railway layout. But with this Trackmaster stuff, that's really hard to do, and so that's why for this layout video, I kind of have to go section by section in the way that the sets are broken up, because it's very hard to take away individual pieces from these larger sets and try to create something that's your own. So this bridge jump set here is very impressive, I will say. It's very tall. This is about, I mean, this to me seems like over 3 feet. So for the average child that is playing with this, it's very massive, and it's honestly really eye-catching. The whole idea is that Thomas jumps the bridge and then it's a circuit, so he comes back. The Thomas that's included in this set is kind of interesting. He has a special expression on his face, if you can see that. He's kind of winking. It looks like he's kind of angry, but mostly determined, I guess. And he has some special paintwork. So the whole idea is that you send Thomas on his way. He's going to go around the bend. And then over here, in order for him to actually climb up to the point where he needs to jump the bridge, he takes like this elevator helicopter thing, and he jumps the bridge, and that's how it works. So a good thing about this set is that it's very eye-catching. I mean, kids who see this, like if there was a live demonstration of it, would probably be all over it. And then as Thomas comes around, he has to gradually climb the hill again. One thing that you do have to do with this set is you have to manually reset it. And you have to manually push down until it clicks into place, and then Thomas gets to do it all over again. So this is kind of the view we had at the beginning of the video. If everything goes right, he should land it, and he does. So cool. If you leave this part of the set up, Thomas will just come to this point, and this little thing right here is kind of like a trigger. He'll just stop right here, and he won't go anywhere. So I'll actually wait for Thomas to come around again. Overall, it's a cool set. Some people will say it's very gimmicky, and I can understand that. But we have to understand that Mattel is a toy company who's trying to go up against, you know, YouTube videos and all of that stuff. I'm actually going to turn Thomas off here. So that's what happens when Thomas gets to that end point right there. He just stops and he can't fall off the track. So a lot of older Thomas fans think this is ridiculous. When I first saw it, I thought it was ridiculous too. But you know what? We're not really the target audience for this toy. And I will say that. It also, if you guys didn't see, comes with Harold at the top there. I guess my biggest complaint is, like, you know, the bridge jump part is exactly like it is in the movie, for the most part. It's just this elevator thing. I mean, it's cool, but there's no elevator thing in the movie, you know? It's kind of like just this part of the bridge jump that's really in the movie. But in order to make this toy work, they had to add a couple of stuff. And then this funnel, it looks funny, it looks kind of annoying and obnoxious, but you need it because Thomas, I mean, you guys saw in the intro, he just comes flying down this incline and jumps the bridge, and he needs something to land into. Unfortunately, not every single jump that Thomas makes is going to be perfect, so that's why we kind of have this large area right here where you can land safely, and then I've added those yellow guardrails at the end there. Overall, you know, it definitely feels like a cheap toy in some areas, but it's entertaining. So, I mean, having actually seen this set in real life, in person, versus just, you know, seeing like a promo of it, it's not too bad, but I can totally understand where classic Thomas fans are coming from when they say they don't like it. So, I think I've spent enough time on this bridge jump portion of this layout video. Let's move on to another section. One of the cooler sets on this layout, in my opinion, is this glow-in-the-dark set that's originally called Percy's Midnight Mail Delivery, I think. And so it originally came with Percy, but as you'll see later in the video, I already had a Percy, so I went out and bought this glow-in-the-dark Edward. Now, I must admit, I haven't actually tried this set in total darkness, but from what I understand, it actually works decently well. So you can tell that this is glow-in-the-dark because this track is really bright. Honestly, it looks kind of unrealistic, but I mean, it's Trackmaster we're talking about, so that shouldn't be a big surprise. I'm actually going to turn Edward on right now and let him run around this track. As you can see, this is the set, and you can tell that this is the Midnight Mail Delivery set because the track is different colored. So there's not a whole lot going on this set. Basically, the point is, whoever your engine is, I mean, there's like a glow-in-the-dark Thomas that you can buy. I mean, Percy came with the set, or even Edward here, is supposed to, I guess, drop his mail off at the top here. It slides down this, looks like a conveyor belt, or even just a slide in general. And then you can actually stop Edward right here with this switch. And if he does stop, yay, you know, he can pick up his mail there. So really not a whole lot going on here. There's this cool tunnel, though, that Edward goes through where he like breaks through the tunnel and then it automatically resets itself. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. This thing that Edward's going by right now, it's supposed to be kind of like a hay bale, I believe. You'll see it when he comes by, but his eyes are kind of triggered, so it's like, you know, something spooky at night as the engines are puffing along. It kind of scares them. Okay, it did it a little bit there. The problem is, if you put this too close to the track, this part will actually knock the cars off. So that's why it's standing a little bit back. So that's kind of a downside. Overall, if you're ever stuck in the darkness for a prolonged period of time, this set would be very entertaining. Not a whole lot going on here, honestly, but it's nice that there's this incline portion, and we got some switches so that I can connect this set to the rest of the layout. So overall, not a super flashy set, but it's cool. The next set we are going to take a look at is the Treasure Chase set, which is based on the movie Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. Now this is a very tiny set, and this is one of the few sets on this layout that hasn't been altered dramatically. I mean, this is basically the size of it. So in the original set, it came with a Thomas that I believe was like covered in seaweed or something, but since Thomas is already on this layout, I've added Mike, one of the small Arsdale engines, to this set, and he's going to run around while I explain it. So there's a railway portion that Mike is on right now, and then there's also kind of this little portion for Skiff here. And as you can see, Skiff is actually carrying the treasure right now. So in the back of the Brendam Docks house here, there's this little opening where you can put the treasure in, and then if you line Skiff up, he clicks into pace, and then when the engine comes by, it triggers him, he slides down his little, I don't know, boardwalk thing, and then crashes into the ocean. So there's a little bit of a reference to the movie, but it's kind of far-fetched in my opinion. So Mike is actually running the course backwards, I should say. If you run him going this way, every single time he gets to this water here, he'll stop. And for the sake of this video, I didn't want him stopping, so I'm actually having him go the opposite way so that he keeps going. So then the engine will get stuck right here. As you can see, there's this part right here sticks up. It'll stop the engine, and then you just press, I don't know, it looks like a barrel or something, and it'll release him. But since I was doing this layout video, I didn't want to have to stand here the whole time, and every time this engine makes a circuit in about 15 seconds, I didn't want to have to reset it. So as for Mike himself, he's, supposedly a small engine, but in reality he's the same size as all the other Trackmaster engines. That doesn't really bother me. It was just nice that we got, a Trackmaster little engine, in my opinion. So overall, this set's small. There's a nice touch here with the Arlsberg sign, but I believe that's spelled wrong, actually. I can't remember what I paid for this set. It was probably like $30 or so. So, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but also there's not a whole lot going on. And I should say that you are able to put Skiff on this track right here. And I don't know if this will work, but you could kind of, as the treasure pops out, you could kind of put Thomas on this track, maybe a Sailor John figure, and you could recreate part of the movie. So I should say that Skiff, he does fit the normal railroad track, but just for the sake of this demonstration, as well as the fact that this is a layout video, there was a high possibility that Skiff was going to fly off the rails, so that's why I didn't do that. So let's move on to the next set in this giant layout video. Alright, so you guys have seen this breakaway bridge set before. Like I mentioned earlier, I briefly looked at it at the end of my Wooden Railway battery-powered Mega review, and it got me kind of thinking, what is the advantage of going to an all-battery system like the Trackmaster range versus trying to do a battery-powered engine in the Wooden Railway range? And I kind of left it up to you guys because I wasn't really sure. So this is the first Trackmaster set of this new revamp, I should say, that I ended up buying because it was fairly cheap. It was only like $20, and in the Wooden Railway range, $20, you can't even buy like a Gordon model with that. So I have Diesel running this part of the section. When I was doing some testing, Diesel was being very troublesome. I was trying to put him on different parts of the layout, and he kept jumping the track, and he was just being a very naughty Diesel. So Diesel gets to run by himself in this very simple course. Over on the top here, the track actually ends, and Diesel is forced to run on one side, or excuse me, on two wheels as he goes around that end. Obviously, you can expand this track. I mean, it doesn't have to be just this simple loop right here. But I just did that for the sake of this layout video. There's kind of like a haunted house over here that needs some detailing. There's a sign over there that Diesel hits when he comes by. And this is actually the battery-powered talking Diesel. He has kind of this special design. I believe he was released in conjunction with the Great Railway Show. He kind of has this happy face. I actually think the stripe there in that checker pattern is actually really cool. And he says some phrases relating to the Great Railway Show. Speaking of which, and then when he isn't talking, there's kind of this ongoing rumbling track sound that you hear there. And it just sounds like Diesel's running around on the track, and then he honks occasionally. I don't want to play this too much in case I get in copyright trouble. But overall, this set's very simple. But it's cool because Diesel, or whichever engine you want to have on this part of your layout, he actually goes up on 2 wheels, and for the most part, this set is one of the more reliable ones in the fact that the engines don't like to come off the track. However, Diesel doesn't really like this switch point here. Sometimes he'll just blow right through that, and then he's on to another part of the layout, and it's just disaster. So anyway, that's the Breakaway Bridge set. Like I said earlier, it was the first set of this new Trackmaster rebrand that I ended up getting. I was interested in it because it was cheap, and although it's gimmicky, you know, and it kind of does this Hot Wheels stunt thing, it looked rather interesting to me. And I figured, you know what, I wasn't really impressed, but I was like, you know what, this new stuff isn't half bad. So that's why we're having this whole layout video now, because I ended up buying a lot more of it. So that's the Breakaway Bridge set, as well as the Talking Trackmaster Diesel. Let's move on to another layout. We are here in some frigid cold part on the island of Sodor, and Gordon is going to take a tour of this wintry Trackmaster set. The original engine that came in this set was actually a Winter Thomas, but I've already discussed how Thomas is busy jumping the Vickerstown Bridge. He can't be everywhere on Sodor. So I went out and bought this Trackmaster Gordon that's, I believe it's from like a specific episode, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. He has kind of this snow dusting as well as this snow piece that attaches to his dome there. And if it stays there, it actually looks really cool. It looks like a bunch of snow just fell on him. And then I have some additional cars that he's pulling, just so it looks like he's doing something. So let me give Gordon a spin on this track here. Basically, it's just a figure 8 where Gordon goes up, over, he kind of goes around this ice palace, ice cave thing, and then he comes around the bend, and if all's good, he'll make it through, yay. When I was doing some testing, I had Gordon running this way, which is the way you're supposed to run it, and for some reason he had a lot of trouble getting through this tunnel here. So I actually had to tape, there's a lever in there that's supposed to trigger some cool effects with this ice tower thing. I ended up having to tape that back because these cars here were getting derailed, and that wasn't a big surprise because a YouTube user named Leo Kim Video did a review on this set, and he got really angry at it. In fact, he really didn't even finish the review. This set really isn't meant for Gordon or any tender engine or any cars to be pulled, which is really weird. It's really just meant for Thomas to go around, but then if you want to be super realistic like I'm trying to be, you can't have Thomas at every place on the layout. So I had to take some clear tape and tape back a lever. And like I said, normally you're supposed to run Gordon going the opposite direction because there's this cool little crane thing over here. And on the far side, I don't think you can see it, but there's a little lever. And if you hit that lever, when Gordon comes around over the bend here, he'll actually switch off into these buffers, and then it's your job to use the crane to save him. Now, if I was doing a dedicated review on this set, I would take the time to show you guys that, but I'm sure a lot of YouTubers have already looked at this set. I like this set because it has a winter theme. As you can see, the majority of the track is white and makes it stand out. I've already looked at the glow-in-the-dark mail delivery set, so those two sets kind of, you know, they just look really different and they catch your eye because the track's a different color. I actually really like this snow track, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's really cool. And there's like this golden bridge over here that looks really nice as well. So I'm going to stop Gordon here. Thank you for giving us that demonstration. It's a very small set. I want to say I paid like $35 for it, and then I had to pay like $15 for Gordon, but it was well worth it because I didn't want to have Thomas running around at the same time he was trying to do other things on this layout. So it's definitely a cheap set. There's a lot of plastic. I mean, you know, 99% of it is plastic. I'm just used to saying that because of the wooden stuff. Overall though, I mean, if you're looking for like a wintry set or like a Christmas set or something like that, there's a lot of possibilities here. I know there's an expansion pack that has this colored track, because if you're going to do like a layout or, you know, a set on your layout that's winter themed, you want the same colored track, obviously. But that expansion pack is really weird. You can look it up, but it features like a bunch of, it features kind of this thing, you know, where it gradually goes up. And I looked at it and I was like, based on the current track pieces they provided me in the expansion pack, there's no way I can add that to this current layout and still make a complete loop. It's really weird. And basically it's kind of designed like either you buy 2 of the expansion packs, or you buy it thinking it'll work with this set, and then you actually get to building the set and you're like, oh, this expansion pack, although it is an expansion pack, it doesn't make a full loop anymore. So anyway, I'll leave that there, and let's move on to our next layout. Okay, so this is a really cool set right here. This is known as the Avalanche Escape set, and I believe it was originally released in correlation with Tale of the Brave, which was around 2014. So this is kind of the bridge jump set before the actual bridge jump set, because the engine, you know, it looks like there's a piece of track missing here, and you're wondering, how is the engine going to make it across? So I have like a secondary version of this set because it doesn't include some of the major or like other big features that the original set included, but nonetheless it's still a complete loop. I don't know if they had like, if they made some extra pieces for this set and then ended up not using them or something, but anyway, I have like a secondary version of this set. It originally came with Thomas, but on this layout I'm having Toby run this track, and you're probably wondering, well, Toby's not a very adventurous engine, you know, why would he be trying to escape an avalanche? And that's a really good point, but what you'll see here is for some reason Toby just works really well on this set. I had some issues in the past with engines. They would derail coming down that really steep incline, and I believe it's just because of the way Toby is built. The fact that he doesn't have any side rods like Thomas or Gordon, for example, helps him stay on the track easier. So if you were watching there, I actually didn't reset that myself. The playset resets every time an engine goes around. So Toby goes through that area right there. There's actually a lever down here. He hits that lever and the set resets itself, which I think is really cool. I actually think that's a bigger advantage than this bridge jump set that needs to be manually reset, versus I have Toby right here and pretty much I can just let this set run for days and it'll be completely fine because it resets every time. So overall, this set is certainly eye-catching. It kind of pales in comparison to the bridge jump set now, but when I first got it, I thought it was really cool. You know, standing next to the bridge jump set, it's like half as tall. But anyway, there's that steep incline that Toby climbs up. He's a trooper, that's for sure. And honestly, Toby does a fantastic job. I don't know why, I just think it's the way Toby's Trackmaster model is built. And just to make sure you guys don't think I'm pulling any shenanigans here, if you hit this lever, it goes up. Although it's really cool, you could, you know, try to do like some magic trick and make it look like you're controlling this thing. But anyway, it's a cool set. It's fun to build. There's a lot of unique pieces that unfortunately you can't break up into a larger layout, but overall I actually really like this set, and I think the big plus is that it resets itself. Now that's good for me because I just like to watch the engines go around, but maybe for kids, maybe they just feel like the set actually does all of the playing for them, and maybe that's why they'll like the bridge jump set better. Anyway, we're gonna hop over there in just a second and look at our next set on this big layout. This right here is the 5-in-1 Track Builder set. I believe it is a Walmart exclusive, and the reason it's called a 5-in-1 Track Builder set is that you can actually build 5 different layouts using all of the pieces you see here. Now I should say that for this layout I have exchanged some of the pieces. For example, it comes with a bunch of switches right here, and actually on the normal layout you come down this hill, you go through the tunnel right here, and it connects back to this hill part, but I've actually added another loop in here since I knew this would be used for a layout. So I actually have Timothy running on this part of the track. This set's really cool. It takes a while to build because it's full of, you know, this tunnel right here and a bunch of bridge supports. And although this set is cool, the engines like to hop this set really easily. It's kind of frustrating. There's a lot to going into, you know, making sure all the engines kind of like the sets that they're running on. It's weird to talk about, but these engines really do have personalities, and for some reason, a lot of the engines, especially like I originally wanted Spencer on this part, and then I changed to James, and I had Diesel running for a while. For some reason, they don't like this set. I think it's just because there are so many curves and the front wheels just like to hop off the track. So there's Timothy. He's running around, and basically it's kind of like 3 figure eights all on top of each other. There's a small decline over there, and then it starts all over again. So like I mentioned earlier, this set is cool. And you definitely get some nice elevation here, but it's very time consuming to put together, because in order to fit this thing back in the box, you have to take all of this apart. I mean, you know, piece by piece by piece, and then putting it back together, it just takes time. So if you have the patience, it's a cool set, because a lot of these sets, they only work one way, and they only work with one engine, for example. This set actually has 5 different designs that it can work, and I chose this design specifically because I wanted, you know, the engine to have the largest, I don't know, running area, layout space. A lot of the other sets were like kind of these figure 8 with switches branching off, and I didn't really need any of that. So like I said, this is the 5-in-1 Track Builder set. I'm pretty sure it's a Walmart exclusive. Timothy's actually doing a great job. He's actually running the set backwards, I think. He's actually supposed to climb the hill and then work his way down versus kind of doing what he's doing now. But this little pesky area of the track over here, there's an incline over here where Timothy's going across right now. And as the engines come around this bend, they just hop this section of the track right here. It's really annoying. And then they run into this bridge here and they derail, and then they make that terrible, you know, I don't know, but it's just the sound of the engines trying to go, and they're stuck, and it's just horrible, and I can't deal with that right now. So Timothy, in my opinion, he's running the track backwards, but he's doing a magnificent job, and I would have given him a bigger train, but if you watch right over here, the cars, see, they stack up right there, and sometimes they actually derail. So that's why I have that yellow guardrail right there. I've mentioned, you know, a couple of times that the engines like to derail. I don't know why that is. They especially like to derail when you put fresh batteries in, because they're going their fastest, you know. I've had these engines running for a little bit, so they've kind of calmed down, and I think that definitely helps. Anyway, I'm going to stop Timothy here in a second. We're going to move on to one of our last sets in this layout video. Like I said, the 5-in-1 Track Builder set, it's awesome because you can do a bunch of different layouts, but you got to have the patience, and if you lose any of these important pieces right here, you're out of luck. This is a very simple set. This is called the Close Call Cliff set, and pretty much like every other set that I've showed so far, it originally came with Thomas, but Thomas is too busy doing other things, so I've added Trackmaster Freddy. Now Freddy is a really weird Trackmaster engine to make. I don't understand. There's a lot of things that Mattel does that I don't really get. But I thought, you know what, Fearless Freddy, he probably likes, you know, a daring challenge once in a while. So I've changed a few things of this set, but the, you know, the core design remains the same. Basically, this right here is pretty cool. Freddy comes along and he spins and he knocks all of these rocks over. They're resettable, and then Freddy heads down the track, and it's basically just like a circle at that point, and then he can just come back up and do it again. And he spins around, and people will say it's gimmicky, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's gimmicky. It wouldn't happen in real life, but you know what? If you just take it for its toy value, it's pretty fun. I won't lie. What happens here is the engine goes into this center part, one of their front wheel goes in here, just spins it around gently, and as you can see, there's this grip area where the tires or the wheels can dig in, and that's how they spin themselves around really quick, and then they're down and away, down a little bit of an incline. Obviously, you know, you can add extra stuff over here. You know, I could tie this into any other set if I wanted to, but just for the sake of this layout, I decided to keep it really simple. Like I said earlier, the original set came with Thomas, but there are far too many Trackmaster Thomases in the world. Oh yeah, if you guys didn't see, sorry my shadow's kind of in the way, but there's little discoveries you can make under each of the rocks. I think those are snakes down there at the end. Anyway, it's a cool set. Definitely an eye grabber, and you know, an engine kind of performs a stunt like they did last time, like we've seen before, and some other portions of the set. But you know what? It's cool, and the really only troublesome area that an engine has is this right here, because let's just give a little bit of demonstration. Freddy comes along, the track is set right there, he heads to the right. When he comes around, he's going to change it to the left. You see that? Because his wheel had to go through there. And sometimes that middle section just gets caught, and an engine will go over it and they'll just derail for some reason. So that's really the only troublesome area. Overall, this set was super cheap. It was like 20 bucks. It's very similar to the Breakaway bridge set in my opinion. Anyway, we're almost done with this layout video. Let's continue on to the next set. Alright, I have saved a cool set for last. This is the Shipwreck Falls set. Thomas originally came in this set, but I've added Ryan because it has to do with Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. So let me step back as we watch Ryan go up this very intimidating ascent up this, I guess it's part of a pirate ship. He's going to get to the top here, and you're like, wait a second, what's going to happen? There's those web things over there. Is he going to pull like a Spider-Man or something? Whoa. And the best part is it resets itself, so I can sit back, relax, and watch the whole thing. Now I want to show you guys how high Ryan climbs. I mean, this is really steep right here, I'm not going to lie. It's really impressive. That's the cool part about this new TrackMaster stuff. Before, the engines would never ever make it across that. So Ryan goes to the top. He does like a corkscrew down, I mean, I guess it's just, you know, down the mast of the ship and into kind of that little, the shipwreck part of the ship. I mean, I don't really know what it's called. I'm not, you know, no, I'm not good with pirate language or sea talk, whatever you want to call it. So Ryan completes this set about every 30 to 45 seconds, I would say. Let me walk around and just give you guys a different perspective. This set's really fun to put together, actually. But it has to be just right, and it features a lot of specialized pieces, so you can't break them up, which is kind of the downside. Ryan's actually moving a little bit slow. I had him running for a while earlier, so I think his battery's kind of on the low side. But here he comes. This part is so cool, how it resets itself. Basically, Ryan enters, I don't know what you would call this, it looks like a web to me. His weight carries the mechanism down, and there's this anchor right here that's actually attached to like some string right here, and a spring. And if everything works correctly, Ryan will be able, he'll just keep going at the bottom, and this thing will just reset at the top. And then this set, I actually haven't added anything special. This is actually what the set's supposed to look like, I believe. Haven't added anything else. So let's get one more shot of Ryan going through the shipwreck area. In terms of, I don't know, gimmicks, this set's up there, but I like how it resets itself, unlike the bridge jump set. That's really cool. Anyway, let me stop Ryan before he runs away. There we go. All right. So that is the last major set that I'm going to look at in this layout review. As you can see, I've added some other, I don't know, they're like sets, they're like little mini just areas for the engines to run around. And I'm going to look at those in just a second, but I'm actually going to start some of the engines up so that we can see what a TrackMaster Island of Sodor is supposed to look like. So as promised, I'm going to start up some of these engines, but one of the engines I wanted you to see is Luke here. And Luke, well, where's Luke going? I'm not really sure. Luke is actually remote control. He's one of, I think Thomas and Percy are the only other remote control engines at the time. I think this is really cool, however. He can run up to 5 minutes by himself without pressing the button, and then after 5 minutes, he shuts off automatically. But every time I stop it, that 5 minutes resets. So the reason I have Luke on this track here, and the reason Luke wasn't running in the intro, is because, well, he goes right across James's line right here, and if I don't time it correctly, James and Luke are going to have a big crash, which makes it kind of cool. But in that intro piece, I wanted everything to look nice and everything. So if you looked really closely, Luke actually wasn't moving, but now Luke gets to run, so I can really stop him anywhere. You could create some nasty crashes. I'm actually going to stop Luke right there. I wish they would come out with more of these remote controlled engines. What they're doing is they're coming out with like a Thomas, and then a Talking Thomas, and then an RC Thomas, and then a real Steam Thomas, and then a Sparking Thomas. The problem is we have all these variations of the same characters. That's not cool. That's why I really like Luke, because he's kind of an unusual character to give an RC button to, or a remote I should say, but I don't know, it works. So that's what Mattel needs to do. They need to stop giving Thomas and Percy every single gimmick imaginable and try giving more engines like James. Try to give them like talking abilities and stuff like that. Imagine we had like talking Salty or something like that. So James right now is running, I don't know, it's like a figure 8 set. It's a little bit different. I'm actually going to start up Luke. Oh, Luke barely. Oh, Luke derailed. Oh, wow, that was close. I don't know what happened there. I'm trying to record and watch the engines and make sure they don't go any place, but I have Luke's remote right here. I would cause a crash because crashes are fun, but I don't want to take the time to clean it up. So if you guys can't hear, that's a talking James, which is really cool. The reason James doesn't have anything in his cars, however, is because those cars like to jump the track for some reason when they have stuff in them, which is kind of annoying. Oh, can Luke make it? No, no, wow. This is pretty fun. See, this is the stuff you can't get with Wooden Railway. So I'm going to stop Luke because I got to turn the rest of these engines on. Spencer is over here. You guys saw him in the intro. He's just kind of on a loop thing as well, where he doesn't run into any engines, but it's very likely that he'll derail because of all the switches in his way. So I wouldn't be surprised if we look over and Spencer is derailed. I'm going to try to get all of the engines running at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work. I'll kind of do like a play-by-play for you guys because this could get a little crazy. Okay, everybody's going okay right now. I wish I could keep Luke going. Ooh, that was close. I wish I could keep Luke going, but I gotta focus on fixing Spencer, for example. Okay, so Spencer's back on the track. So is his tender. Timothy just ran into my foot. You guys didn't see that, fortunately. All right. This is kind of stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but it's gonna look cool. Trust me. So basically, I'm just recreating what you guys saw at the beginning. Here's Percy. He's just on a loop with a turntable. If I had more engines, I could put them around the turntable here, but I don't at the moment. And since Thomas is too busy jumping the bridge, Percy's being a responsible engine, actually pulling Annie and Clarabelle. Here is Hero. Look at this massive train that Hero pulls. Now, Hero's not just stronger because he's Hero. I don't know, when I took him out of the box, he was just really strong for some reason. So yeah, he's pulling that entire train, and yes, those cars are light. They're not heavy by any means, but that's still impressive. Let me turn on Flying Scotsman. He runs this loop that's actually an accessory pack called the Tidmouth Bridge Expansion Pack, I want to say. And the cool thing is there's this Great Race sign that actually relates to, you know, the Great Race movie. So that's why the Flying Scotsman's there. Let me turn on Diesel. The last engine that I'm going to be able to turn on is Thomas, because I need to manually reset that one. If you guys didn't see it, there's Charlie. Charlie runs a very small loop right under the bridge jump area. Yep. Oh yeah, we've got Ryan here. Okay, I'm looking out of the corner of my eye. Spencer has derailed, which is shocking. Not really. But this is what it looks like. It's kind of cool when they all get running. I just wish they would stay on the track. Ah. Come here. Oh gosh, something... I don't know if somebody fell over there or what. That was violent. Oh, you know what happened? Ah! Diesel, what the heck are you doing over here? He must have gotten on Toby's line. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're actually going to put Diesel this way so that he doesn't do that anymore. Two of the engines that aren't running right now are Emily. Emily actually doesn't work. I'm not just being mean. Emily came out of box and she doesn't work. And Flynn's right over there. And I've stripped his screw, meaning I can't get into the battery area and give him new batteries, so that's why he's not running at the moment. Okay. Okay, well I hope you guys are enjoying this because I've never done anything like this. It's so different to my wooden railway videos where everybody just sits still. This is, wow. Alright, we have everybody going, except Thomas. This is where it could get really interesting. Alright. Show us what you got, Thomas. Oh, look at Ryan going down. There goes Thomas. Wow. And then, I have to reset, obviously. Okay, let's keep going. We gotta walk around and make sure all the engines are running. Nice job, Percy. Nice job, Edward. Good job, Mike. Wow, I think at this moment, all of the engines are running. Nobody's derailed. Oh, Spencer derailed. Of course, Spencer's just being troublesome. Now, if I really wanted to, I don't know, you know, make this layout something similar to what my wooden railway layouts are like, I guess I could take some of the freestanding wooden railway destinations, like the airport, and fill them in. But I just wanted this to be a Trackmaster thing right now. Uh-oh, Diesel. Okay, Diesel and Spencer are on the naughty list. This is so intense. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of out of breath because this is really cool though. Anyway, I should probably leave this video here. As you guys know, I'm more of a wooden railway person, but I've actually had a lot of fun putting all this together and seeing what a different line of Thomas merchandise can do. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I've had a lot of fun making it. I don't know if I'll make a second one of these videos in the future. I mean, if I continue to get more Trackmaster stuff, I presume I'll just make a new layout and include it. That's why these videos will kind of be a layout slash collection video every time a new one comes out. This is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I guess, well, let me just go fix Spencer because he's having problems. And I know Luke isn't running, but I can't, unfortunately, I can't watch the rest of the layout and keep an eye on Luke. And I hope you guys can hear me because it's pretty loud considering how quiet I'm used to it being down here because my wooden railway engines don't do anything. This is, it's interesting to say the least. Anyway, Thomas is going to jump the bridge one more time for us here. Wow, he and Ryan did their gimmick things at the exact same time. Anyway, it's been fun, everybody. I feel like a kid again, that's for sure. I guess I'll leave this video here. If you guys liked it, thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. Sorry for the lack of videos lately. I'm going to get started uploading again here soon. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you soon.